So, welcome to Springs. This is Gülşah.
This is Duygu.
And today's episode is something that we have been waiting for a while because we were talking someone who can actually answer questions of panic questions of parents in the midnight. Yeah, we are together with Dr. Nela Marie Peters. Welcome.
Hi. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Nela is a pediatrician and working with Berlin Health and Youth and Health Services. And maybe you might know Nela from other sources as well, other channels, because she's running her own channels on Instagram and YouTube and helping parents with the most asked questions. And yeah, welcome again. So nice to have you today here. Would you like to tell us about yourself?
I think you said most important things. I think maybe it's nice to know that I work here in Berlin now for a pediatrician for 11 years almost. Right now I'm in Matan, pediatrician's office and a pediatrician's practice. And it's also nice to know I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, so I know what it means to be a parent.
Panic parent.
Yeah, exactly.
Panic parent moments. That you
Yeah,
have them.
exactly. But I'm calmer than I thought I would be as a parent, I have to say. So, but I think I understand. I can relate to many questions. I love my job. I love everything about it. Yeah, I'm really happy to answer your questions today.
In your 11 years of practices, you were working in Berlin or different part of the Germany?
Yeah, always in Berlin. First in a huge hospital, then in different practices. Then I took some time off for being a mom, and now again in a practice. So, and I also worked in different areas of Berlin, which all have their differences. I learned a lot and love it still.
Great. What drove you to the pediatric practice?
Well, it's the most fun job you can imagine. So I'm sorry.
Tell us about
No, it was always totally clear that I will be a doctor at some point, like about 10 years and the friends books, friendship books. I already wrote like I'm gonna be a doctor, and then at some point, I don't know, I was still a teenager and it was totally clear I'm gonna be a pediatrician because was logical for me. Like with kids, you always have fun, and it's it's the best. And so it was totally clear after school I want to study medicine, and from the first semester on it was totally clear I'm going to be a pediatrician. So I always looked for chances to learn something for exactly this topic. I always knew what I wanted, and I didn't regret it for one day. Every day I think, well, I'm with these babies right now, and it's my job to examine them. So it's a little bit of cuddling, a little bit of tugging. So I'm a very social person also, and to talk to the parents, to talk to the children, to be able to have fun at work, because of course when the children are sick you can't, but as a pediatrician it's so nice that you see so many children who are healthy, because you go for the U-Untersuchungen and for the vaccines, and they are always healthy, and you can have fun with them, and you have to be flexible. You have to have a little bit of humor, otherwise you can't get closer to them, can't get to know them. They won't work with you. So I always love that, to be able to have fun at work and still call it work. And I love also this opportunity to always get to learn to be more flexible, to work on the floor, to be always I'm always moving. Like if the child is on the floor, I'm on the floor. If the child is upside down, I'm upside down. And I think it's fun.
I think they are really lucky to have such a compassionate doctor around them. So I think we are also lucky today, because I also have lots of how-to questions, because those days the how-to questions is my top high priority. So I would like to hear from the first hand that when you have a newborn, when you have a parent of a newborn,
And here, a new parent.
How should what should we do as a new parents? How should we enter the system? Because I'm pretty sure you need to do some stuff to take your baby to a pediatrician. Would like to hear from you the practical tips for parents.
Yes. So I think you can be lucky and you just go around the corner and you find a pediatrician practice and they take you. But in my experience, it's getting more and more difficult to enter the system, as we said, because pediatrician practices are getting less and less. Most of them are closing, and there aren't coming new ones because the politics are not ideal. And so many practices are closing, and the ones who are still existing, they have too many patients. So yeah, they don't have capacity for new patients. So at least like quite often it happens that you ask that you go somewhere with your baby and ask for, you need like the U03, that's usually the screening, that's the first one, 4 weeks after birth, and you go somewhere and they say, well, you would have come here like months ago, or we don't take any new babies. So that can happen. So I would always recommend, like to my friends who are pregnant, I always recommend like looking for a pediatrician before birth, because some practices, also in our practice, we say, please call us before the baby comes so we can arrange everything. Then of course when it's born, you call us and say the baby's there. And I think many practices work like that. So I would just make sure, and if you can already before birth, look for whatever doctor's office is around you, maybe one that also suits you. Just call them or write an email and ask, I'm having a baby, do you think you can take us on as new patients? And then sometimes they say, well, why are you calling us? Just tell us once you have the baby. But some will be grateful and will tell you, well, it's very good, we write you on a list or something, and then you know for sure that when you are out of the hospital or wherever you have your baby, that you have a pediatrician, because I know that it can be difficult. We are called by 10 parents every day because they can't find a doctor, and they already called like 10 practices.
Yeah, in my case, it was like that. I called the pediatrician and they said, first of all, they ask where you live. And
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think, okay, that's maybe myth, but they always, or some people say like they have to take you if it's in your district. Is that correct? The pediatrician, or they can still say no.
Not really. Always the in your district are the first ones they take, but still, if they don't have any capacity, you can live around the corner and you still don't get in. So we, as doctors, we always have to treat your child. If it's an emergency, if it's sick, we will always treat your child. But for like things you have to plan, like the screenings and vaccinations and everything, you can say no. Usually the practices work like that. Like you said, they see, okay, you're living nearby. We have the rule, you have to live in our district and you have to call before birth. It's a little bit, that makes it more complicated. It's a little bit different. Like wherever you go, they will have like a little bit different rules for themselves. In general, I would just suggest, if you know you will have a child, I would just make sure and look for a pediatrician before birth. And if you find somebody and they say, well, it's fine, just call us when the baby's born, then then you're good to go. I think for some parents, it was quite easy to find a pediatrician. But in my experience, it can be quite difficult. Also, it's a little bit dependent on where you live. In some areas in Berlin, it's quite easy. In some, like I'm working in the East, there are not many pediatricians, and it gets harder and harder for the parents to find somebody, especially if you don't speak German. And the ladies,
this is also another layer of
and the ladies at the front desk sometimes can be a little bit harsh. And that is even more difficult. Unfortunately, and it's not fair and not good, but and when they can speak English or some other language, it even gets harder, because then they don't understand you and then they are not very patient, and it's even harder.
For non-German speaker parents, usually like 2-3 steps you need to do to complete any basic issue. Having you here, that's why like we are also like having this podcast and this content to help like English speaking parents to make themselves ready for the thing. So I was wondering, okay, you found the pediatrician like either in our district or like some other district, but then, like, what are the first few must-dos, like, to keep records for the baby, like the mandatory vaccines or the screenings, checkups, maybe like for the first 6 months or first few years? What should the parents keep eye on it and to keep track?
Usually, the practice will organize it for you, because you don't have to keep track like for every screening and for every vaccine, because normally it's like you go there either for the U2 if you really quickly get out of the hospital, or you weren't in the hospital, then the U2 is like a week after, so it's like
What
2
is
days.
U2?
2 days. It's 2 days, so a few weeks, a few days after birth. So it can be done from 48 hours after birth until 10th day, I think is the latest. Most children who are born in the hospital get this U2, this first screening, after the U1, which is directly after birth, which always is done by either the doctor or the Hebamme. But the U2 is the first screening doctors have to do. So it's always the first one where you see a doctor. And if you're in the hospital, usually after 48 hours, if you're still in hospital, a pediatrician there does it. But if you gave birth somewhere else, or you left the hospital before those 48 hours, you would have to find a pediatrician who does this screening. And like, by the way, because you always have like, you only have like one week to find somebody. So that's also the reason why I would, especially if you know you want to leave hospital soon, or you don't want to give birth in the hospital, I would especially suggest finding a pediatrician before birth, because some doctors don't do the U2 because they say I can't give you a spontaneous appointment or something like that. That's always the first one. And then I think most of the babies, or the majority, is having the first checkup with the U3, which is usually about like 4 weeks after birth. And 4 weeks after birth, most of them, maybe not if they are premature, but most of them definitely are in a doctor's office. One of those two would be usually the first appointment you have in the doctor's office. Of course, if there's something like jaundice, like when your child is turning yellow, or anything like it's not gaining weight, like any problems, you would go to the doctor's office sooner. But those would be the first screenings. And usually from there on, they plan everything for you. So they already give you the appointments for the next few screenings, like with 3 months, with 5-6 months, and also for the next vaccination. So usually they all plan it out for you, and you don't have to keep track, at least within the first year, because there we have like 6 checkups, like screenings in total, and many vaccinations. And usually they plan it for you. And I think, your first appointment would always be like either the U2 or most often the U3. Yes. Maybe also good to know is that if you want to leave the hospital or the place you gave birth really early, you always have to have a Hebamme who does the Neugeborenen screening. It's like this blood check-up every baby is having after 36 hours after birth, where they check for different diseases. We just talked about the vitamin B deficiency, and then you would have to have a Hebamme who does it, because this has to be within 72 hours after birth. And so if you have like a U2 at the doctor's office after 1 week, it would be too late for this, or it's not good to have this blood check so late. Okay. So if you're planning, I will leave the hospital after a few hours, then you have to have a Hebamme who midwife, thank you. A midwife to take this blood.
Yeah. Okay. And like after the first 2 months, because you said that like the first U2 gonna happen in the first 2 weeks, and then first week, and then after 4 weeks, so within the first 2 months, you will have the U2 and U3.
Yes.
After that, like, are there, for instance, for the vaccines that the parents should be aware of to track, or it's also tracked by the pediatrician and your...
Yes, that's what I meant. So there will be quite many vaccination appointments. Usually the screenings, the U-Untersuchungen are always combined with the vaccine. So sometimes you come for a screening and the vaccine. Sometimes you always come for the vaccination. But they usually plan out everything for you, because you come when your baby is 1 month old, 3 months old, 5 months old, and then a year for the screenings. Additionally, a few times more for vaccinations. And usually they give you like the appointments at the first visit when you go there. You don't have to like remember everything.
Yeah, usually they plan for the next one.
Yes.
And they give you a booklet.
Like, what type of?
Yes.
Yeah,
For your
for your
A
child.
little bit.
Okay.
And sometimes we always plan everything. So when the parents visit us the first time, we give them, they get like a document and they have like all the first appointments for the first year. So
Okay.
you have to have lots of time because we don't change now.
I think
possible.
in this whole system, the finding a pediatrician and like going through all the screenings, the vaccination was the easiest and the more smooth thing that I had in Germany.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Right.
I was lucky, I think. I don't know. First of all, our doctor office was speaking English, so that
Yeah.
was also easy part. So they always ask like to speak English or to there in Kreuzberg too. I don't know. It was easy. Like they were very kind to ask take us because we were like Kreuzköln, kind of like in the
You were in the border, so they had to
They
take
were
you.
like, okay, we will
Nice.
take you.
Nice.
But everything went very smooth afterwards because it said like everything is planned
Yeah.
and they explained like very clearly what's coming next. And whenever we also had like problem when child was sick and so on, you can go either the same day or the next day. They're like, okay, come, we will check. Come, we
Yeah.
will check. So it was like I don't know, it made me feel like very, suited in many cases, like because they were there.
Yeah.
So it was
That's really nice. It's a little bit different with every practice. I think it's always good to know their rules because Germans love rules. And because some say, please, if you have the problem, come between 9 and 10. Some say, please always call before. Please always bring, it's always really important to bring your Versichertenkarte, the insurance card, and to know whether you call, when you call, which number you call, when you just go there.
What time you can have your emergency?
Yeah, it's really important because otherwise they will get angry and then you're not very popular.
But it looks like you also don't like German rules, Karina. It looks like you also don't like that. Don't like the German rules.
I like when things are organized, but I don't like when you don't know the rules and you do something wrong. Like I'm a patient sometimes too, and I'm like, okay, well, sorry, I didn't know that, and so I think it's very good because we are also organized, and it's very good that we don't see patients normally spontaneously, but we always have appointments for them. Sometimes like come in 10 minutes, but still we have appointments, so we don't have a long waiting hour and everything. So it's really good if it's organized. But I think it's good for some a little bit maybe also impatient staff members if you know where to call, when to call. If you just go there is something.
Exactly.
I mean, you're also sometimes unsure, like, there's a fever. Now my kid has a fever.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, should I call?
Yeah.
Like, should I just take my child's doctor now?
Exactly.
I'm calling. And they're like, okay, you can come like in a couple of hours or tomorrow. Like,
I mean,
I'm assuring you like a bit, like, okay, I have.
That's a perfect case. Yeah. Sometimes you don't reach them at all. Because I think quite often you don't reach the doctor's office at all. That you just have to go there. Sometimes I think you can write an email.
Yeah.
We always also advise the parents at the phone. So sometimes we say if sounds like that, you don't have to come right away. But it really works differently with
In
every
every
case.
case,
I
yeah.
think yes.
Yeah, our practice wasn't using emails because they got a virus once through an email. So
Yeah.
yeah, like.
Yeah.
Antivirus programs. Maybe you can use this.
Yeah, so just make sure
So
you
it's
get to know the
education,
rules and you follow them, and then you're fine.
Yeah, but I was going to ask like more or less similar topic. Like, what are the most top 3 topics, fears that parents usually have, and like calling you or like coming to the office to your practice with a panic? Yeah, what are the most the anxious moments that you are coming across?
Yeah, so I think it depends totally the age of the child. I think when they are toddlers, it's most of the time when they are sick. So especially like fever is a thing parents are always really afraid of. I would say like when they're a baby, it's more about like what the poo is like, if they are drinking, if they are eating enough, when they're not sleeping or crying too much. I think those would be always the main topics. And it also, of course, is depending on which case it is. If it is screening, where they are talking about how the child is eating, gaining weight and stuff, or if they come for in like emergency situation and want to know why is my child having fever or something.
But are there any common recommendations that can be given in such like overarching?
Yeah, I would say so. For example, for fever, like in general, I think the biggest myth is that fever is dangerous because fever doesn't do anything to your body. It doesn't kill you. And the only thing that can be harmful is the disease that is behind the fever. So of course we want to catch this disease early, especially the younger the child is, the faster some especially bacterial infections can go. So you want to catch the disease that causes the fever, but the fever itself, even if it's like 40, 41 degrees, won't do anything. So I think it's really important to know that the fever doesn't do anything and you don't have to give your child medication if your child is okay. I think that is most important. And I always recommend look at your child. So if it's having like, if it's, I don't know, 2 years old and it's having 40 degrees of fever and it's sitting on the floor and it's playing and eating a banana, it's fine. It's fine. If it has slept for the last 24 hours, not drinking anymore, we don't like that. So it's always like when I hear the child, when they're calling and I hear the child like laughing and talking, I am not worried because then I know it's fine. I still take it serious that the parents are worried, but I know for myself, I can see it within the first second the child comes in, if it's seriously sick or not. And then the parents always say, well, yes, but 2 hours before it was really sick and it had high fever. And I'm saying, I trust you and I believe you, but still, if a child is like this right here, I don't think something really serious is going on. So I always would say, first, know that fever is not dangerous. Second, look at your child. If it's drinking, if it's eating, if it's playing from time to time, then you know that it's not that serious and you don't have to go to the doctor right away. Within the first year, it's always a little bit different, especially within the first months of a baby's life. You always have to go to the doctor with fever because sometimes babies have bacterial infections who go on really quickly. And then I would always take fever more seriously within the first year. After that, we get more and more relaxed. If you call us with a 6-year-old child, we are very calm.
Yeah.
6 weeks, please go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So
Take a holiday.
it really depends. But have a look at your child. Don't look at the thermometer. Look at your child. Because the number is not telling you something. I don't care about 41 degrees. I care about how the child is in general.
Yeah. I remember, very well. And my child born, we had with some complications, shoulder dystocia, shoulder dystocia.
Yeah.
And on top of they said we have to stay in the hospital for 7 to 10 days because the child get bacteria. So we have to start all the few antibiotics.
Yes.
And I was like, antibiotics. And then I read one antibiotic is making like a hearing, permanent hearing problems. And I was like, no, I'm not sure if I can make this. Like, what if like hearing problem? And doctor told me doctor was a interesting person, but I kind of liked him. And he was in German. He was like, yeah, but do you want your child to die? You have to give about
Wow. Wow.
So I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but like it's past now. No, I don't want to.
Yeah, if we don't start now, we don't know what happens. And I'm like, okay, I have no other options. Yeah, I think
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
yes, it was.
I hope I didn't say anything like that.
It's hard. It was hard.
Yeah, but that is like with babies, especially with newborns, you're really afraid of if they get
Anything and everything.
So and the bacterial infection can spread really fast and they get really sick really fast. So you're always worried about that. So that's the reason why with newborns and young babies, you're always afraid of fever or any infections, and then you give antibiotics far faster than when the child is 3 years old. Then usually it's all a lot calmer.
Yeah, it's scary, definitely. Yeah, I can understand. Well, that was my personal experience.
And there are more like general. You asked about general recommendations.
Regulations, yeah.
It's the same with, like, I think all the parents worry about their baby and their child if they don't eat enough, don't drink
Sleep
enough
enough.
milk. And I think it's not the only factor, but I always show them the percentiles. So we always put into the computer, so the weight and the height and the head circumference, I think it is. And there I always show them like where their baby is at, and I always show them, okay, here's the fattest babies and the slimmest babies, and yours in between, or something like that. And I always show them, because like today there was a baby who was really, I think it was 4 weeks old, and it was already like, I don't know, 5 or 6 kilos. So it was really, really huge.
Chunky.
And the parents were seriously concerned that it's not drinking enough milk, because they were really worried, and it was a serious worry of them. So I showed them, and I always tell them, even if it's spitting, if you feel like it's not drinking enough milk, we can see here it's gaining weight perfectly fine. It's a very good line. That's always like a good general rule. Like if the baby is gaining weight in a correct way, at least like the main things are totally fine. It can spit, it can poo as many times as it wants. It gets enough to gain weight, and so.
And that's the
We're
only
fine.
thing actually you look at now. Like also with midwives, they come in
Yes.
and they check that in the field.
Yes.
Because you have this question always: is my
Yeah.
baby eating well or enough? And like I don't know when I should feed. Of course, I know like when they cry, but I don't want them to cry.
Yeah.
Like you don't know. And also at the beginning of as I said, like my journey as a parent, like I had to feed my child every second hours. The nurse would come to the room and time to feed your baby now, because the baby was sleeping all the time.
Yeah.
Due to the bacterial infection.
Yeah.
I was sleeping, like didn't move at all. I was always unsure, like if the baby's eating enough, or do I need to feed more? Do I need to start formula or not?
Yeah.
But the only thing that the midwife was like comes and check in the first 20 days, they come and check the weight every time when they come. And I say, okay, it's good. If it's not good, then you go to the doctor, or they start formula, or they do something like to help you close that gap.
Yeah. But I always see that within the first few weeks, some babies have problems gaining weight, but I always see like once they, I don't know how to do it, or you found their way to feed them, like maybe with breastfeeding and formula, or only breastfeeding or whatever. And at some point, if they reach that point, it's fine from there on. So once they know how to gain weight, I'm always relaxed, because then I know, okay, now it gained weight really well. Probably it will go on like that also. And it's also the reason why you don't have to, at some point, at least after a few weeks, when it gains weight really well, you don't have to wake your baby up. Just feed it whenever it's hungry, and you don't have to be worried about that. Always, especially with toddlers and then school kids, still parents are afraid that the child's not getting enough food. And I mean, in a country like Germany, most of them get too much food, so we have a problem with obesity. But it's in our nature, of course. We want our children to survive. So, and we know that no food or not enough food means not surviving. So we are always afraid of our children not getting enough food. So yeah, I understand that. But in reality, it's not a problem. Of course, there are babies and there are children who have problems with that. But yeah, we have far more problems with obesity and other things also.
Again, like my story. So you know, say a Turkish mom, like, or your baby needs to get the kilo or something. So what happened to me? Like, I was obsessed about feeding, like how to feed her, because in Turkey, it's culturally, like our culture is based on giving food.
Yes.
It's not about only to kids, like to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can
How
imagine.
you show your love. Like,
Yeah.
And then around age 1, I think it's 12 months or something, we came from holidays, and there was the screening, and they were like, doctor was asking us, okay, are they eating themselves? And I was like, yeah, they're eating themselves, like they use. And I was very proud and happy. We were very proud of eating me on to. And then she was like, yeah, maybe you should help sometimes because they need to get like a kilo or something would be nice. I was like, what? Even I was like, you never tell this to Turkish mom.
Wow.
Today is fine. You are not.
I have 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Luckily, I have a German partner who helped me out to, suit myself about this, but that wasn't
great.
it wasn't good time for me for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, but it was fine. I mean, they start eating themselves, and they don't always put in everything in mouth. They just drop it sometimes. So she was like, maybe you can have sometimes.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
they are doing perfectly fine now.
Then and they were doing also fine. She wasn't saying like this is something like critical. She was like, they could put some kilos on.
And there are like more myths around like other.
Oh, there are so many myths, but before we come to there, maybe we can talk about more nutrition. We talk about foods.
Food.